All right, welcome back, everyone. So in our last explainer, we kind of dove deep into the theory behind user IDs, right? Well, today we're going to get our hands dirty and actually put all that theory into practice. And look, this isn't about just memorizing a bunch of commands. No. This is about learning to think like a real professional sysadmin. We're going to start with a question that trips up, well, just about everyone at some point.
So have you ever been in this situation? You're following a tutorial online, you type in useradd on an Ubuntu machine, and nothing, no home directory. But then you do the exact same command on a CentOS or a Red Hat box, and poof, it works perfectly. It's super frustrating, right? Well, you've just stumbled upon the exact mystery we're going to unravel today. And believe it or not, this tiny little difference, it actually reveals a huge split in how these major Linux distros think about things.
It all boils down to philosophy, really. Think of Red Hat and its family like a helpful assistant. It's all about convenience. It assumes, hey, you're making a user, you probably want them to have a home directory and get running fast, so it just does it for you. But Ubuntu and Debian, they're more like a strict teacher. They prioritize precision. They won't do anything you don't explicitly ask for. They force you, the admin, to be super intentional with every single command. Now, one isn't better than the other. They're just different ways of looking at the world.
Okay, so where is this behavior actually defined? What's the secret? Well, it's all hiding in plain sight, in a single configuration file, /etc/login.defs. See, the useradd command itself is actually kind of dumb. It's just a low-level tool that reads its instructions from that file. And this is powerful. It means you're not just stuck with your distro's default choices. You can literally go into this file and change the behavior to whatever you want.
So, how do we cut through all this confusion and act like a pro no matter what system we're on? Simple. We use the M flag. Just sudo useradd-m deepdeveloper. That little M is your universal translator. It tells useradd, hey, I don't care what the default is, create the home directory. If you get into the habit of always using -m, your scripts and your commands will just work every single time, whether you're on Ubuntu, Red Hat, or, anything else.
Okay, and here is a classic rookie mistake. Please don't fall for this one. Creating the user is not the last step. You've created the account, sure, but it's completely locked down. You have to, and I mean absolutely must, set a password for that user with sudo password deepdeveloper. That's what actually unlocks the account and makes it, usable for someone to log in. All right, so creating users is down, but let's be honest, you're probably going to spend way more of your time as an admin modifying users who already exist, and for that, we need to talk about the userdel command. I want you to think of this one like a surgeon's scalpel. It's incredibly powerful, but it demands precision. Okay, let's walk through a super common scenario. You've got your user, deepdeveloper, and you need to give them some admin rights. So naturally, you want to add them to the sudo group. This command here, usermod-g sudo deepdeveloper, it looks totally right, doesn't it? It seems logical. But be so careful. If you run this exact command, you've just made a massive, and I mean critical, mistake.
Here's why that was so bad. When you use a capital G flag all by itself, you're not adding the user to the sudo group, you are replacing their entire list of groups with only the sudo group. So imagine that user was already in the developers group, the web group, the database group. Well, congratulations, you just fired them from all of those. They are now only in the sudo group. You've just instantly broken all their permissions.
So what's the right way? The safe way? You have to use -ag. The A stands for append, and that's the key. -ag adds the new group without touching any of their existing ones. Now, usermod can do a lot more, of course. -l lets you change your user's login name, which is handy, but for security, you really need to know -l and -u. -l locks an account, which is your first move when an employee leaves or you think an account is compromised. It instantly disables their ability to log in. And -u, well, that's just how you unlock it again. Okay, let's shift gears to what is probably the most high-stakes task we're going to talk about today, deleting a user. Now, I know a lot of tutorials make this look easy, like it's just one simple command. But let me be clear, in a professional production environment, just running userdel without doing your homework first is a huge security risk.
And the reason it's so dangerous comes down to this creepy concept called a ghost UID. See, if you just delete the user's name from the system, any programs or scripts they had running, they just keep on running. But now they're not owned by deepdeveloper anymore. They're owned by a number, a user ID, with no name attached. A ghost in the machine. And that ghost process could be anything. A malicious script, a resource hog, just haunting your server long after you thought you got rid of it.
This brings us to a core tenet of the professional mindset. You never, ever just delete a user. You conduct a pre-deletion security audit first. The command to delete the user, that should be the absolute last thing you do, after you've gone through a careful, deliberate checklist.
And what does that audit look like? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, you have to find and neutralize all of their running processes. Second, you need to audit their scheduled tasks, their cron jobs. And third, you have to hunt for any important files they might own that are hiding outside of their home directory. Only after you've done all three of those things are you clear to proceed.
So, step 1, neutralize the processes. The best tool for this job is the pkill command. Using pkill-u deep developer is like sending out a search and destroy mission for every single process owned by that user. It finds them all and terminates them cleanly. This is how you prevent those ghost UIDs from ever being created in the first place.
All right, step 2, check for scheduled tasks or cron jobs. A user's cron tab is basically their personal to-do list for the server. So just imagine Deep Developer set up a script that runs every single night to back up a critical database. If you delete the user but forget to check their cron tab, that backup script could just keep running forever. You can use cron tab u deep developer -l to list their jobs, and once you've checked them, you'd use -r to remove the whole cron tab.
And now for step 3, and this one is crucial. Before you just wipe their home directory, you have to ask, what if they own important files somewhere else? I mean, what if Deep Developer was the one who uploaded the main SSL certificate for your website? Or maybe they own a critical web server config file. This find command is your safety net. It will search the entire file system and show you every single file owned by that user. This lets you find those critical files and change their ownership before they become orphaned and break something important.
Okay, so you've killed their processes, you've checked their cron jobs, you've audited their files. Now, and only now, are you ready to actually delete the user. And the command you want is sudo userdel -r deep developer. That -r flag is absolutely essential. It not only removes the user account itself, but it also cleans up after them by removing their entire home directory and all the files inside it. It's the final, clean, safe way to do it.
So let's just pull back and recap what we've really learned here. It's not just about commands, right? It's about a professional mindset. It's about understanding the philosophy behind your tools by knowing about files like etc/login.defs. It's about using powerful commands like usernod with surgical precision, and always remembering the difference between G and AG. And maybe most importantly, it's about shifting your thinking to see user deletion not as a simple task, but as a critical security audit.
So we've got a handle on managing standard users. But what about the users who manage the managers, the admins themselves? How do they get all that power? And how do you control it so they don't accidentally or intentionally break the entire system? That leads us to our next big question. What really goes on inside the incredibly powerful and frankly pretty dangerous sudoers file? We're going to crack that open in the next explainer. I'll see you there.